Hi, hello, welcome to look number 4 with the beautiful Luminous Legends palette from the Holiday 2024 collection from Pat McGrath Labs. I have everything in a playlist, so if you would like to see all the looks and you would also like to see my first demo and swatches of both the Luminous Legends palette as well as the duo in Celestial Jade, that will be all linked at the end of the video. But today we're just going to start off immediately with the fourth look. To no one's surprise, we're going to use Celestial Cerulean. I think that's what the shade is called, yeah, the blue one. But before that, I'm going to apply my blush, bronzer and highlighter. I've already done my base makeup, brows and eyeshadow primer on, and now we're going to proceed with the bronzer. And today I've chosen for the Mario bronzer the Soft Sculpt Transforming Soft Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. It is a beautiful cream bronzer in a very neutral shade. And I think it's going to be beautiful for the upcoming winter months because it looks very juicy on the skin when my skin tends to look quite dry in the winter, and it is also a beautiful neutral toned of bronzer, which I tend to gravitate a bit more towards in the colder months. I wanted to briefly talk about something because a lot of you have been messaging me on Instagram about it. The new queens from Kiko Milano. A bunch of you have already messaged me, so I know that they look like straight up dupes for the queens from Pat McGrath Labs. It even looks like they are dupes in terms of the formula, because at least on pictures, from what I can tell and from what some of you have confirmed by swatching these in store, they seem to be a one-on-one dupe for the queen formula from Pat McGrath Labs. They're also made in Italy. As you know, Kiko is an Italian brand. They're not really drugstore. They're not really mid-tier, they're somewhere in between, but I've loved them for years. They make really solid products, so I'm not surprised that they're bringing out something in really high quality. But I wanted to say that I personally have not seen these or swatched them, so I cannot confirm or deny for a fact that they're the exact same formula. I think they are. It seems like they are, but other than that, I can't really tell you much. I have not seen the color stories in person either. I don't even know if they're going to make it to the city where I live, but we do have a Kiko Milano store here, so I am going to check them out if they ever come in person. Let's stick with Mario for blush as well. I'm going to take his Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil in the shade Barely Blushing, which is a cream blush, basically in the same formula as the bronzer. Now, I don't know whether I will be getting any of these 5 pans from Kiko Milano because, you know, I'm not going to buy them just because they're the queen formula. That sounds really dumb because it's essentially what I've been doing with Pat McGrath Labs. But at this point, I have so much in that formula that I need to become a bit more selective about it. And also, I have to say, just at first glance, the ones from Kiko Milano tend to have a lot of types of shades in them. Like, there is one that has a gorgeous green in it, but the rest of the shades are purples that I really don't like. So I would not buy something that I just like one shade in. So I will see how these look in store. If any of them seem even remotely unique to my collection, I will definitely give them a try because I'm just very intrigued by the formula. I don't think it's uncommon for brands to use the same formula, and unless Pat McGrath Labs has some sort of agreement with that lab that this formula will be unique to her, that's really not going to be the case. Other brands can make use of it as well. So personally, I'm not that shocked that they're using the same formula. They do eerily remind us of the Pat McGrath Labs queens, which is not something I love. I don't like it when brands seem to be straight up copy pasting something. Whether that's really the case, of course, I don't know for a fact, but they do look a lot like the Pat McGrath Labs queens. So take that as whatever you like. If you really hate that kind of thing, then don't buy the Kiko stuff. If you don't care and you would really like to try more eyeshadows in this formula, then by all means go swatch them. If you like something in there, the same formula, you know, enjoy. Now for highlighter, I'm going to go back into the new Gucci highlighter that I purchased. This is in the shade pink, no? I always want to say pink opal, but it's opal pink. This is the shade 04. Because what I didn't realize is that this formula is a bit like a cream to powder because it's a bit putty. Like if you put your finger in it, you can actually leave prints, which is not something I realized at all when I first purchased the highlighter. I can't remember whose review I was watching, and they mentioned the putty formula of this, and I was like, wait, does mine have a putty formula too? How did I miss this? That's something that I wanted to note about this formula. So let's apply a little bit of this highlighter on my cheekbones today. I do think it's going to fit with the look that I'm going for. But yeah, I thought it was an important something to mention, because at first it seemed like, you know, a straight up powder, but upon further inspection it seems like it's very much one of those like putty cream to powder formulas. Why can I not? Oh yeah, the lipstick gal. I was watching the lipstick gal. She had one of the lighter shades of this, and she was actually saying that the shade doesn't even like show up on her. I can't really say that that's the case for me. Like, this shade shows up just fine on my skin. I can build it, I can use it a bit more subtly, so I do think this is a very buildable formula. I think my personal issue with this is mostly how plain the packaging looks, especially if you compare it to other products in the makeup line of Gucci, which have much more like fun, luxurious and unique packaging. This is just so freaking plain. I'm going to quickly set everything with Fix Plus, but that is not to say that it is a bad highlighter. It's just, you know, in my opinion, a little too plain for what we are used to getting from Gucci Beauty. Okay, and now we can go into Luminous Legends again, and like I said, today I'm going to be focusing quite a bit on this beautiful blue here, the shade Celestial Cerulean. So I am not going to put anything through my crease, to be honest with you. I think we're just going to start with this shade and see how we go. So I'm going to get my Sonia G Worker Pro brush. So this is a brush that allows for packing and blending at the same time, because it is flat, but it also has a little bit of like fluffiness to it. I don't want something that is a blending brush, because I think I'm going to make a huge mess. The Celestial Cerulean shade is quite, you know, flaky and sparkly, so it's better to start with something that is more of a packing brush. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pack the shadow basically all over my lid, and then I'm going to flip the brush and try to blend it out that way as well. And this could be a risky move, because usually a shade like this would be something I would apply with some sort of a blending out shade, but honestly I was just curious whether you can use some of these even as like one and done moments. Now, it is not ideal. As you can see, the shade is quite sparkly, and even if you blend, you are left with some sparkles in your crease. So if you really don't like that kind of thing, just grab your bronzer or, you know, Sable Seductress. I was just curious what would happen if I try to blend this shade out as it is. And with this formula, it is always a good idea to give it a bit of like a swiping motion on the lid, because I feel like that really helps the formula to melt onto the skin. And then I always clean off the brush before I start blending the shade upwards through my crease. Really helps to not bring the shadow up too much and leave it a bit more subtle. Like I said, I think it's possible to use this as a one and done. It's just that you are going to have some sparkle in your crease as well. If that doesn't bother you, then knock yourself out. You can just use a bunch of these as one and done. Because next I want to take a little bit of glitter glue, apply that on the inner portion of the lid and a little bit over the blue that I already have on my lids, because I would like to see what Celestial Cerulean does over a glitter glue. But it is a very, very pretty shade. If you like your sparkly blues, this certainly delivers. But I think we also need to point out the fact that Pat McGrath has a lot of these types of sparkling blues in her collection. Now I'm going to take the same brush again, and I'm going to load it with Celestial Cerulean, and I'm going to go back and reapply over the glitter glue, and you can see what a world of difference that can make for an eyeshadow like this. Look how much more impactful that applied immediately. Again, I'm going to clean off the brush so that I can blend here lightly through the crease. For my lower lashes, I'm going to take a little smudger brush like this. This is from the Sunset Cranes Maki A set from Sonia G. And I'm going to take a little bit of Celestial Cerulean and I'm going to run it on my lower lashes. We are going for a fairly monochromatic look today, nothing crazy. Next I'm going to take a flat shader brush and I'm going to go into this shade here, the shade Platinum Lilac, and I'm going to use that is an inner corner highlight, but also I will take it a little bit over the blue shade just to see what they do when they're layered over top of each other. Taking a few flakes because this shadow specifically has a texture that is very similar to Lunar Luxury, and I already mentioned how extremely potent Lunar Luxury is with just a few flakes. This one basically does the same thing. You can see how potent this applied with just a few flakes that I had loaded my brush with. So be careful with this shade. First I'm going to apply that in the inner corners, like this. I think they look very pretty together. Just a few more flakes on my brush, and I'm going to apply some of these over top of Celestial Cerulean, just at the border between the two shades, to make the transition a little bit smoother. And I want to mention that even though the Celestial Cerulean shade is quite sparkly and I did a fair amount of blending with a fairly fluffy brush, I don't really have much, if any, fallout on my cheekbones, if you can see. So I think that's a really good sign. And here we have a bit of sparkle moment, although I think you can tell how sparkly this eyeshadow is even without the artificial lighting, but it's always worth checking it out under artificial lights. I think we can agree what's going on the eyes is a lot, so I had to keep the lipstick quite, you know, toned down, and I chose for one of the settings from Gucci, from their Gucci Neutrals collection. This is the shade Eliza Ginger, which is a beautiful nude with like sort of pinkish undertones to it. Overall, is this my favorite eye look that I have done with the Luminous Legends palette? Not because objectively it's a bad look. It's really not a bad look. It's a really pretty look, and I'm sure for the enthusiasts out there who absolutely love sparkly blue eyeshadow, this may even be the best look, but it's just not the kind of look that I wear on the daily anymore. I think 6 years ago, like, past Mariam would have absolutely loved this eye look, but present Mariam is much more into shades like, I don't know, Honey Nectar and Lunar Luxury over here, or this like bronzy shade. It's just, you know, tastes change, but I did want to show you like the versatility of this palette and the range of looks you can create with it. So I thought it's important to show you how Celestial Cerulean looks on the lid. I think what I will personally do in the future is probably use this shade as like some sort of like lash line liner kind of, you know, accent. I absolutely love the Platinum Lilac shade. I think that one would look just so absolutely beautiful on the lid. So I'm actually toying with the idea of finishing off this week with a look centered around Platinum Lilac, and maybe putting a little bit of that orchid shade over top of the lilac shade, just to see what happens when you mix the two, because I'll be completely honest with you, I don't like this shade at all. It is the kind of purple, I don't like warm purples. I don't think I look good in warm purples. Celestial Cerulean, again to remind you, is not a very unique shade within Pat McGrath Labs range. You will find a number of other beautiful sparkly blues. She likes her sparkly blues, so if this is a shade that you thought, oh, this is very unique, very pretty, I'm sure you can dig through your collection, just like dig out Subversive. There is a beautiful duochrome blue shade in there. It's not exactly the same, but it's in the baked formula and it's a sparkly blue. So you know what, I just went to the bathroom and I realized that the blue shade is actually shifting very intensely purple in the light. So this convinced me even more that we need to do a comparison swatch between Celestial Cerulean and the shade that I just mentioned from the Subversive palette, this one here. This is the shade Blitz Amethyst, because now I'm even more convinced that they are quite similar to each other. I mean, the texture obviously not. One is in the Queen formula, one is in the Blitz formula. Okay, this is Celestial Cerulean and this is Blitz Amethyst. Like I said, are they the same shade? No, but are they extremely similar to each other? I think so. Yeah, okay, well. So Blitz Amethyst, being in her baked formula, obviously has a bit softer of a finish and a bit softer of like base color and duochrome, this being in her Queen formula, much more intensely sparkly, much more flaky. So kind of depending on your preference for texture, you will like one more than the other. I think I slightly favor the Blitz shade just because it's a bit more subtle, but it still gives you that beautiful twinkly blue-purple duochrome. So there you have it. Let's see. Anyway, we're going to see each other again tomorrow as usual. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!